Hello and welcome to my video presentation where I'll reflect on the use of ICT in a constructivist classroom. To begin with, I'm going to have a look back at what we already know about constructivism. So, we know that Piaget and Vygotsky developed two theories of constructivism that were slightly different from each other. Piaget outlined that knowledge is individually constructed in a social world, and Vygotsky outlined that knowledge is socially constructed. So my understanding so far of constructivism is that individuals are active and constructive learners, that learning comes from new experiences and reflecting upon them, and when we learn something new, we are reconstructing and building upon our previous knowledge and constructing new knowledge simultaneously. So what does this mean for the classroom? In the classroom, in constructivist-based classrooms, students are encouraged to use techniques to create their own knowledge and discuss what they did and how they felt. Students in constructivist-based classrooms become expert learners through self-regulation. However, it is important to note that this is different for each individual with varying needs and different learning preferences. Ultimately, it becomes the shared responsibility of both the student and the teacher. Applications of ICT. ICT is becoming more and more useful and widely accepted in education. It provides students and teachers with relevant learning, creating environments which mimic real-life situations. It encourages students to gain deeper understandings through research and alternate perspectives. ICT is an opportunity for teachers to change up their teaching strategies, to use different ideas, and to meet the needs of all students through doing this. ICT also facilitates student-centered learning, so students take control over their own learning rather than the teacher just telling them. So in the world today, we are transitioning into a digital world across all areas, particularly in learning. In this presentation, I'll be discussing three different ICT tools which can be implemented into a constructivist-based classroom. These are Padlet, Socrative, and Vyond. As I discuss these tools, I'll be focusing on three main questions. One, how these tools support constructivist approaches to learning and teaching. Two, how they can be used to support and respond to the needs of diverse learners. And three, how they can be implemented safely, responsibly, and ethically in a secondary classroom setting. Firstly, I'm going to begin with Padlet. Padlet is an electronic dashboard where students can use their own devices to autonomously post answers and responses. This enables shy students who don't want to directly answer questions to do so without the teacher knowing if they were the person who maybe got an answer wrong. It allows all students to be able to participate without the fear of being wrong and being embarrassed by their answers. So as you can see here, this is an example of a KWL chart, a human body system on Padlet. So this has what I know, what I want to know, and what I have learned. So this shows an example of the dashboard where the answers already exist, but generally the teacher can set up the question, and these subheadings and all of this area will be blank. So you can see here that the answers pop up instantly as they're posted and the wall will begin to fill. It's a great method that teachers can use to prompt class discussions. Getting class discussions underway is a way of implementing a constructivist approach to facilitate collaborative learning. So for there to be safe implementation, teachers need to know their students well. There is a lack of ability in Padlet for the teacher to control the posts. They come up instantly and anonymously, so teachers will need to trust their students that they will answer appropriately. They can do this by referring back to behavioural contracts that were signed at the beginning of the year and really just knowing and having a good relationship with their class. It's also hard for teachers to monitor participation. So while some students will find this a useful way to participate and engage, some students might use this as an excuse to get out of work. This would not be a good tool in assessing students' learning. Okay, so let's move on to Socrative. Socrative is a learning platform that contains many functions. Like Padlet, it encourages social collaboration and for this reason, it's useful in constructivist-based classrooms. It contains many functions. It emphasises the use of team-based problem solving and is a good way of formatively assessing students' learning. So you can see here that there are different functions that are able to be used on Socrative. The layout is really simple. It's easy to use and navigate for both the student and the teacher. So you can do quizzes, you can do space races where you're versing other people in the class, and exit tickets. So this is where students have to answer questions and get them right before they're allowed to leave the class for lunch. That's a good way of assessing individual lesson learning. So there's a differentiation in different activities and ways students can respond in quizzes. This addresses different learning preferences and needs of students. So if we go to the quiz tab, it's an example quiz. So there are many different types of quiz questions. So there is multiple choice questions, true and false answer questions. This really stood out to me. This is another multiple choice question, but you can put a picture into the question. This really caters for learners who are visual learners. There's also short answer responses, so there's a variety of different questions. Teachers are also able to go into reports, and obviously this is empty, but teachers are able to go into here and instantly see and review results from their students. So when it comes to implementing this into the classroom, there needs to be consideration for why. Socrative is mainly a testing tool. It's great for that, but learning also needs to take place on another platform. This cannot solely be used for learning. The tool is so safe, it's easy to use, there just needs to be access for each student to participate in the quizzes. This just means that the teacher needs to monitor student progress, adjust quizzes appropriately so that it caters for all students and all their modes, through all modes of questioning to cater for different types of learning. And teachers also need to ensure that there's access for each student to get onto this software. So the last classroom tool that I'll be discussing today is Vyond. Vyond is an animated video making tool in which there is encouragement for project-based learning, which is a tool for constructivist learning. Through this, it also facilitates collaborative student learning. This program really stands out to me. I'll be becoming a PDHPE teacher where I'll definitely be using communication and role plays in my classroom. Using Vyond will allow teachers, especially me as a PDHPE teacher, to give more creative freedom to our students. Where those shy students will feel more comfortable getting involved, it will also help to develop their social interactions and team learning. It really gets students to break through those awkward barriers. So, you can see on the website, there's lots of different tools to use. Students can, down the bottom here, add in new scenes. So they can add in, this is a yoga class example, you can add in new scenes where you can add in characters. You're also able to create voiceovers, add a variety of different figures as either still figures or animated figures, as we can see here. This guy, you can animate him up here so he can actually run. You can animate these yoga students here. It's really fun. It really allows for students to have fun and gives them heaps of creative freedom. While this is fantastic and it's a new way of teaching and getting students to collaboratively learn, there are still concerns. There are still concerns with the implementation of it. So not all students are creatively minded. So the tool should not be overused. It's also hard for teachers to monitor if all students are participating, whereby in a real-life role play, it's really easy to assess this. So when implementing this into the classroom, it's important for teachers to encourage full participation. Teachers need to make sure that all students have been shown how to use this tool and know how to use it before being assigned work. So that brings me to the end of the discussion of 3 different ICT tools that can be used in a constructivist-based classroom. To finish off, I'm just going to talk about how these tools should be used and what needs to be taken into consideration when deciding if and how to use them. So 1, we need to ensure that tools allow students to work collaboratively. We need to critically evaluate if the tool is in line with educational principles. So we're not just using ICT for the sake of using it and ticking off that box. It really needs to be relevant to their learning. We need to cater for the differentiation of students. So using different softwares, using different methods, making sure, as it says there, it caters for all different student needs. And we also need to assess the safety, ethical, and responsible use of the tool. Thank you.